And with this, we come to another leader, a global leader, and also a regional leader in Vienna and Central Europe on connecting academia with the work of the United Nations, Michael Platzer. I'm delighted to and honored to sit next to you here today.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm glad someone said that this was actually a love-in. I mean, and I hope it gets a little wilder after speeches of mutual declarations back and forth. Yeah, I'm from the Academic Council on the United Nations. We've been examining the UN for the last 30 years. It was set up by, with the sponsorship of Mr. Kofi Annan. We're an NGO that stimulates, supports, and subsidizes research on the UN, other international organizations, and issues of global governance. We promote dialogue and mutual understanding between the academics, practitioners, and civil society, and students. And that, I think, is what keeps me going, at least, is the student that are coming forward. My battleground is in the Vienna. Vienna is a special city. It has 7 sisters, 7 organizations in Vienna, which do not always cooperate closely with each other. I think we should mention one of the problems of silos, and one of our tasks is to get them to talk with each other. We've done that in a major conference this January, and we got everyone to look at the 17 goals. They had more or less carved out their little goal that they felt that they could deal with, but we looked at it more globally and saw that, in fact, ending poverty in all its forms, achieving food security, ensuring healthy lives, promoting equitable quality education, lifelong learning opportunities, empowering women, ensuring sustainable water management, ensuring access to energy, promoting economic growth, full employment, decent work for all, supporting sustainable industrialization and fostering innovation, reducing inequality within and among countries, making cities safe, ensuring sustainable production, combating climate change, conserving marine resources, protecting terrestrial ecosystems, promoting peaceful societies, and providing access for justice for all, strengthening global partnership for sustainable development. Most of you will recognize that that's all language carved from the 17 goals, but I've managed to put it into one paragraph rather than 17 pages. And I see that as under one theme: peaceful, inclusive, prosperous, and sustainable world. And then we got the young people actually to look at the UN agencies in Vienna, put them in little boxes and charts, how they are doing with respect to all of them. In other words, if you are providing for health, if you are providing for education, if you are providing for full employment, economic growth, etc., you are also preventing crime and the downside, in other words, war or civil strife, etc. So we examined how each of them was doing. Each of them were contributing to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Now, often they do it together through joint programs and projects. Other times they're working in the same areas, but their activities are in fact not well known to each other. But sometimes they could be considered reinforcing. For example, ensuring access to affordable energy is being carried out in Vienna by UNIDO, the IEA, and the Sustainable Energy for All, as well as OPEC, as well as EASA. Sustainable industrialization, commerce, and economic growth is carried out by UNIDO, UNCITRAL, if we look at it in a big way, UNODC, if we're looking at corruption, and the IEA, if we're looking at it in terms of development and industry. Climate change, actually everybody is somehow working on that. The IEA, Christian's sitting here in the room, so I'm going to be careful. UNOSA, which looks at the world from the sky. UNIDO, which tries to stop us from polluting. And UNEP, which of course is worried about the delicate ecosystems, particularly the Alps where we live in. So we're all an inclusive, peaceful, inclusive societies. Well, I can see that as UNODC worrying about crime and drugs and so forth. The IEA, which worries about bombs blowing up. The CTBTO, which controls testing, and UNOSA, which is watching over us and has various techniques to monitor how we are using our space, and not only airspace, but also terrestrial space. So I think we're all working towards reducing poverty, inequalities, and ensuring well-being for all. And that we also are trying to build effective, accountable, inclusive institutions at all levels. This, in fact, results in less crime, more prosperity, higher literacy, empowered women, and healthier people. So if we would look at things a little more holistically, and that is perhaps one of my critiques of the 17 goals and the lengthy documents that we're ending up, we could look at things much more simply. I liked what was said. I mean, not only the love declaration that was made at the beginning, but yeah, knowledge is important. We most often don't use it. I mean, we have take political actions or selfish acts that don't really reflect what we know to be true. Someone mentioned global governance has failed, or the UN has failed. I think we went so far as to say that. Yeah. Now, getting young people involved doesn't always make it that they're magic. I mean, young people are also very selfish and pretty egocentric. And we did your survey, and we found out that many people really don't care. You know, they fill out a form, but in terms of action and doing things, they're very reluctant to give back. It's still a very small proportion of people who are what I call global citizens. The people who go out and want to change the world are still a very small minority. Music, okay, you call it soft knowledge. I'm not sure music really does change the world. I know it does. John Lennon said so, but okay. It makes people feel good. Partnerships, yeah, you also have to reach out. But this building is full of NGOs who can't seem to cooperate with each other on the simplest things. So I'm a little bit pessimistic about how much, whatever, homogenization we as civil society can even do, let alone the agencies which I've just criticized. Yeah, smart cities, that's a good slogan. Safe cities is what Habitat and others have used now to keep, and now there are human rights cities. Again, not necessarily meaning that things are better in those cities. So sloganeering is easy. My World Survey, I think it is perhaps a treasure. I don't know how hidden it is, or how, yeah, okay, but there are a lot of surveys, there are a lot of social science work, there's a lot of information already out there.
Yeah, but also the thematic consultations, especially if we look at this delivering thing.
Delivering as one, okay.
Dialogues on implementation is also good.
No, I'm optimistic, I must be, and I can see solutions. I can see definitely we need more transparency. Someone mentioned indigenous communities who have been completely forgotten. The UN is open to criticism, yes, and the doors seem to be continuously closed to funding. Funding, yes, but you'll battle on, right? So we do have hope on that.
We have hope. We are the ones with the hope, with the treasure map.
I don't want to be the grouch of the panel here, but I mean, I do have to, I feel this needs some kind of reality check, that we have to make sure that, yes, the funds are necessary, people actually cooperate and don't just sit in a room. And we also need to look at the dark side. You know, I mean, there are a lot of evil things happening in the world right now, not just in the climate areas, but in Syria and in human rights things. And sometimes we're wondering why, if we have all of this knowledge, why does it seem that we are going backwards? And I think there are enough indicators that show that we are going backwards in terms of women's rights, indigenous rights, religious rights, children's rights. I mean, it's the world is not transforming necessarily into a better world. We are transforming, but maybe we're one of those evil monster type things, that the transformer, our friend Arnie Schwarzenegger with the half a head. So I think it'd be interesting to have a dialogue here. I mean, where some people are not kissing each other, but in fact looking at the problems of how we move forward in a practical way that is sustainable, and that we also realize there are a lot of pitfalls out there. This should not just be a loving, as we said at the beginning. So I'm sorry, Miro is my best friend. Yes. And he can withstand a little bit of criticism, but I thought we'd also liven it up a little bit. So
a snowball fight?
Yeah.
A snowball fight?
A snowball fight is not harmful. That's not good. We could have a snowball fight. I think that's the point of it, rather than, and I think we could dialogue a little bit more. But I think there's one more speaker.
Yes.
So.
But thank you very much, Michael. You are my hero. And but I have to say that as regards the future of the world, the future will be as good or bad as we allow it to be. If there are enough really global citizens saying we want this transition path towards a sustainable future, we want sharing of resources, we want reduction of inequalities. We want to empower our fellow global citizens that they really have, according to Article 1 of Universal Declaration of Human Rights, life in which they can develop their dignity and potentials. Then it will be this way. We have the power. And as regards kissing, it is a pity we don't have female panelists as well, so I have to apologize. It came to my mind.
Sure.
we really tried hard, but this time we didn't succeed. But we might know from our previous panels that we tried to have gender balance.
Dias em torno do sol, num passo constante. No teu centro ardolento, em mata coração. E a cada estremecimento vais mudando a vida de feição. Terra, meu planeta azul, nós hoje sabemos.